Speaker Nancy Pelosi speaking live on the House floor, where they are debating a resolution to condemn President Trump on racist comments made via Twitter. I have been rolling on it since Nancy Pelosi first came to the podium, so don't worry, you have not missed a thing. I'm going to take you to the beginning of the record here, right, in just a moment, and we will listen to what she has to say. Again, this is breaking news right now. You've been listening in on the president's cabinet meeting from earlier today, so I'm going to take you back to the beginning of this record right now on News Now.
Asking for bringing this important resolution to the floor. And Mr. Speaker, I come to this floor prayerfully. It's really very, very sad. It was interesting to me, and I spoke out about this, that on Sunday in Catholic masses, and I don't know beyond that, the gospel of the day was the gospel of the Good Samaritan. A person asked Jesus, "What do I have to do to enter the kingdom of heaven?" And Christ replied, "Love thy neighbor as thyself. Show mercy." That very same day, and then went on to talk, and then he said, "Well, how do I do this?" And Jesus gave him the example of the Good Samaritan. Everyone is familiar with how a stranger helped another stranger, a foreigner helped another foreigner, the Good Samaritan. Love thy neighbor as thyself, show mercy. On that very same day, coincidentally, ironically, sadly, whatever adverb you want to use, the president was instituting raids into the homes of families. I went to Spanish Mass this weekend to see, and saw the dignity of those families, the beauty of the children, and the fear that the president had struck in their hearts as we were listening to the gospel of the Good Samaritan, to show mercy and love thy neighbor as thyself. That very same day, unfortunately, there were those who were not informed by that gospel. And so here we are later in that day. It was stunning to hear the words that were used, "Go home," to some of our colleagues. The same words that were used to so many people in our country, whether because they weren't born here or because they didn't look like some others here. Go home. As annoyed and as insulted as we all should be about the president saying that about our colleagues, it's also not showing mercy for him to say that about so many people in our country as he wants to split up families. So I thank Mr. Malinowski and Mr. Raskin for the opportunity to speak to the statements that the president made later in the day of the gospel of the Good Samaritan. Mr. Malinowski was born abroad, and Mr. Raskin for his firm leadership in advancing this important resolution. The House, hopefully, has come together, standing as one, to denounce the White House's xenophobic attacks on our members, on our people, and to defend the values of America. And what is America? America is many things: a land of a great Constitution which is under threat, a beautiful land that God has given us which is being degraded, values that we share that are being undermined. But America is also a nation largely, but not totally, largely of immigrants. As this resolution so beautifully states, the founders conceived America as a haven for refuge, for people fleeing from religious and political persecution. And Thomas Jefferson, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, having opposite views on other subjects, all emphasized that the nation gained as it attracted new people in search of freedom and livelihood for their families. The resolution quotes our most iconic presidents, who all recognize that immigrants are the constant reinvigoration of America, of hope, determination, optimism, and courage to make the future better. Those are American values. Those are American traits: hope, optimism, courage. And many of these immigrants, when they come here with those values and those traits, make America more American. Franklin Roosevelt said, "Remember always that all of us, and you and I especially, are descendants from immigrants." President John F. Kennedy, who wrote that the contribution of immigrants can be seen in every aspect of our national life. And President Ronald Reagan, who he said it so beautifully in his last speech as President of the United States, which is quoted in this resolution, who said, "If we ever close the door to new Americans, our leadership in the world would soon be lost." Yet the president's comments about our colleagues this weekend show that he does not share those American values. These comments from the White House are disgraceful and disgusting, and the comments are racist. How shameful to hear him continue to defend those offensive words, words that we have all heard him repeat, not only about our members, but about countless others. Our caucus will continue to forcefully respond to those attacks on our members, which reflect a fundamental disrespect for the beautiful diversity of America. There is no place anywhere for the president's words, which are not only divisive but dangerous and have legitimized and increased fear and hatred of new Americans and people of color. It's so sad, because you would think that there would be a given that we would universally in this body just say, "Of course, of course." And there's no excuse for any response to those words but a swift and strong, unified condemnation. Every single member of this institution, Democratic and Republican, should join us in condemning the president's racist tweets. To do anything less would be a shocking rejection of our values and a shameful abdication of our oath of office to protect the American people. I urge a unanimous vote and yield back the balance of my...
I was just going to give the General Speaker of the House if she would like to rephrase that comment.
I have cleared my remarks as a parliamentarian before I read them.
And take it. And I ask the words be taken down. I make a point of order. The gentlewoman's words are unparliamentary and are ready to be taken down.
The chair will remind all members, please do not make comments toward personality-based comments. The gentleman from Georgia is recognized.
I made a point of order.
All right, everybody, good afternoon and welcome to News Now, which is a part of Fox10Phoenix.com. Here is a live picture of the U.S. House of Representatives. They are debating a resolution that would condemn President Trump's alleged racist tweets. Again, I'm going to give you an update as to what's been going on here today. House Republican leaders stood by the president in response to a Democratic resolution condemning his controversial tweets about 4 freshman lawmakers alleging their outrage is, quote, all about politics and suggesting it's being used to revive an impeachment push. They talked more about impeachment than anything else. That's according to House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, referring to yesterday's fiery press conference with Representatives Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, and Ayanna Pressley, saying, quote, we should get back to the business of America, end quote. The battle between the president and congressional Democrats over the weekend tweets has become all-consuming, effectively putting other skirmishes ranging from a bid to hold Trump cabinet officials in contempt to feuding inside the Democratic caucus over those same freshman lawmakers' conduct on the back burner. If anything, the president's comments telling the freshmen to, quote, go back to the countries they came from, despite all but Omar being from the United States, and then come back and show everyone how to fix things, have united the fractured Democrats for the time being. Democratic leaders are now preparing a resolution condemning President Trump's remarks for the House floor. That's happening right now. And in a House Democratic caucus meeting this morning, Speaker Nancy Pelosi made clear her support for the 4 freshmen amid the attacks, just days after she and Ocasio-Cortez were trading jabs in dueling media interviews. This is a quote from Speaker Pelosi. These are our sisters. Despite the resolution's focus on Trump's tweets, McCarthy said that yesterday's press conference held by the 4 congresswomen revealed their true goal. This is a quote. On the night of being sworn in, they spoke about impeachment in words I will not use here. That is from McCarthy, likely referring to when Tlaib said impeachment, the expletive. I will not say that word. On News Now. McCarthy also accused House Judiciary Committee Chairman Rep. Gerald Nadler, Democrat from New York, of working to win the chairmanship based on his supposed ability to impeach the president before Special Counsel Robert Mueller had even released his report on the Russia investigation. House Minority Whip Steve Scalise also accused Democrats of calling, quote, for impeachment of the president from day one, end quote. It's a story that we will continue to follow here on News Now, which is a part of Fox10Phoenix.com. Let's listen in live and see if we can hear anything. And there is actually no sound coming from the House floor right now. No sound is coming from the House floor, but we will continue to stay on top of it very closely right here on News Now. Meanwhile, happening live right now as well, I just talked about it at the end of News Now on Fox 10 Extra with Mike Page. We've got the U.S. ambassador to Germany speaking live now in California. This is Richard Grenell delivering a, quote, major address on President Trump administration's foreign policy. This is at the Nixon